Well, Senator Sanders, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. First, I want to say today is the last day of early voting here in Nevada. Election day is right around the corner. What's your message to Nevadans specifically about getting out to vote in this election?
My message is that this is the most important election, not only in our lifetimes, but in the modern history of the United States. And if you have not voted yet, please come out to vote. There is no question that Nevada is going to be a very tight election. One of the candidates is going to win by a relatively small number of votes, and you want to make sure that your vote counts. And I happen to believe, obviously, that Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country, that we cannot tolerate 4 more years of a president who lies all of the time, a president who does not believe in science, who is telling us literally today how we're getting around the corner on this COVID-19, when yesterday we had more cases than any time since the pandemic began. We need a president who believes in science, and it was going to give us national guidelines to effectively combat and defeat this terrible pandemic, because we're not going to get the economy moving the way it should, not in Nevada, not in Las Vegas, Reno, any place else, unless we got a handle on the pandemic.
And that's a big issue for a lot of people, especially here, like you mentioned, the economy. Are you confident that Biden has a plan to bring those jobs back and to help those folks who are on unemployment? I think a lot of people are concerned that regardless of who's in the White House, they'll still kind of be left in the dark.
Well, let me just say a couple of things. We will not get the economy back to where it must be. And I know that's especially true for Nevada, where you're so much a hospitality state, a tourist state, unless people feel comfortable that when they go shopping and they go to a casino or whatever, they're not going to get sick. So we need to get a handle on COVID-19. And obviously, Trump has not done that. I mean, literally, probably today, he's holding rallies where people are going to be in close proximity to each other. They're not wearing masks. They're actually spreading the virus. That is not what you want from a president of the United States. But above and beyond COVID-19, I think if you look at what Biden is talking about, number one, uh, literally on the first day of a new Congress, if the Democrats gain control over the Senate, we're going to go forward on an emergency and very strong COVID-19 relief package to protect the unemployed workers of this country who today are struggling to put food on the table, to get health care, to literally pay their rent and not get evicted. That is priority number one. And I know unemployment is much, much too high in Nevada today. Number two, under a Joe Biden administration, we're going to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. We're going to have equal pay for equal work, so that Latino women and African American women are not making 60 cents on the dollar compared to men. We are going to have paid family and medical leave. We are going to have universal child care. So I think if you look at the economic agenda of Biden, it is a strong agenda which will protect working families in Nevada and around the country.
You won the Nevada caucus way back in February. You're now obviously supporting Joe Biden. When it comes to if he wins the election, how will you work with him to ensure that some of your progressive ideals actually make it into his administration and his White House?
Well, I think, as Nevada indicated, but not just Nevada, we won Iowa, we won New Hampshire, we won a number of other states. The progressive movement now has tens of millions of people who are a very important part of the Democratic coalition. And these are people who want to see a government that represents all of us, working people, the middle class, the poor, minorities, and not just the 1% and wealthy campaign contributors. And I think that Biden understands that the progressive community has to be an integral part of his administration. That's what I believe he understands, and that's what I hope and expect will in fact happen.
One progressive idea is the Green New Deal and your position on climate change. Biden has said that he's using the Green New Deal as a framework, but doesn't fully support the whole plan. And there's
Right.
also been some back and forth with Biden and Senator Harris about their stance on fracking. Is any of that concerning at all to you?
Look, we have differences of opinion. We have differences of opinion on the Green New Deal. You're right. Differences of opinion on healthcare. I happen to believe in a Medicare for all single payer system, which guarantees healthcare to all people as a human right. Joe's approach to universal healthcare is a different one, but he would greatly expand the number of people who have healthcare and also lower the cost of prescription drugs in America so we don't pay 10 times more in some cases for a drug than they do in Canada or Mexico. In terms of the Green New Deal, Joe is not supportive of that. But what he is proposing is a $2 trillion investment to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel. And that is far and away the most aggressive proposal ever brought forth by a presidential candidate. So it's not my view, doesn't go as far as I would like, but it is very significant and in fact would create millions of good paying jobs as we move to sustainable energy like solar, which, by the way, in Nevada can be of huge consequence. You can help lead this country and create many, many jobs by moving aggressively toward solar. And also in terms of energy efficiency and transportation, agriculture, we can, under Joe, make real progress in leading the world in combating what I believe is an existential threat to our planet, and that is climate change.
And as I mentioned, the election just around the corner. We're already seeing, pretty high voter turnout when it comes to the mail ballots and then in-person early voting. Seeing the numbers here across the country, is that a good sign to you? Are you looking forward to what will happen, after Tuesday?
Well, I'll give you a better answer to that on Wednesday, but I think in general it's a good sign. Uh, One of the things that has concerned me about my Republican colleagues and Trump is their desire to suppress the vote, to make it harder for people to participate in the political process, make it harder for votes to be counted, actually. Um, and I am impressed that all across this country, what we are seeing is voter turnout at a very high level. And that's uh, people who are coming out in person, doing mail-in ballots. We will see what happens actually on election day. But as of now, it looks like it is quite possible that this will be the highest voter turnout as a percentage of our population since the early 1900s. And that is, I think, a very good thing.
And the GOP, the Trump team, is continuing to, cast doubt about the mail-in ballot system. Just your thoughts on that. I know we've talked to some other people about, their confidence in the process. What about you?
This is what I meant when I talk about Trump trying to suppress the vote. Uh, if you talk to leading Republican experts on voting and elections, people like Benjamin Ginsburg, who was George W. Bush's key guy in 2000 in Florida, knows something about elections. What he will tell you is that voter fraud in America, despite what Donald Trump says every day, is very rare. And it takes place from Democrats and Republicans, but it is very rare. And what Trump is trying to say is that if he loses the election, which he might very well, that it's all fraud, that you can't trust the election results. And that's a terrible thing for a president of the United States to be saying. What he is doing is delegitimizing our democracy. And that is just one more reason why Trump must be, in my view, defeated.
And then obviously we have different races up and down the ticket, senators, state house representatives. A lot of talk about, a red wave, blue wave. What are you hoping to see from voters across the
Well,
country
look,
and here in Nevada?
I'm not much into election speculation. I don't know any more than you do or anybody else does. We can speculate all we want. All that I will say is that this is an election of enormous consequence. If you believe in honesty, if you believe that a president is not above the law, if you believe that we need scientific guidelines to help us deal with this pandemic and to deal with climate change, then I think the choice is pretty clear. And that is we have to get rid of Donald Trump. We got to bring Joe Biden and Kamala Harris into the White House. We need people all over this country to stand up and fight for a government that works for all and not just the 1% and wealthy campaign contributors. So I would hope that in Nevada, which is a key battleground state, it'll be decided by a small number of votes. I would hope that large numbers of people come out today, come out Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever it may be, come out is in as big a numbers as is possible so that we can defeat President Trump.
Senator Sanders, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Take care.